on today's podcast, we're going to be talking about how it all came about, how me and Luke got introduced, and exactly the step-by-step process of everything that we're doing going forward. And we thought no better place to do it than here on the terrace in the Marbella Podcast Studio. So before we go into it, I want to introduce Luke. Most of you will know him, some of you may not. But yeah, just really going into how all this came about, and we'll go from there.
We're meant to be casual, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, chill. Take my shoes off then.
I mean, yeah, we wanted to start off this podcast just to talk about us, talk about the studio, obviously, and all the projects we've got going on. But we're going to try and make it a regular thing and try and highlight Marbella, because I lived in Marbella for 10 years. Bradley's been in it coming up to 2 years, and it's a really magical place, and I feel like needs to be highlighted, needs to be spoken about, and it kind of just all ties together with everything else that we're doing. But me and Brad met a couple years back because he wanted to do a podcast. Basically, I had this place, I started it. I tell the story about why I started the Marbella podcast originally, or the studio originally, and it's because I was in Dubai chatting with a friend of mine, and we did a podcast out there, and they had a little studio, and I didn't really know anything about it, and I showed up, he booked it all, he organised it, told me where to be, we chatted for an hour, it was pretty interesting, and then he was like, oh, that was sick, let's do another one. I was like, cool, I'm here till next Friday or whatever it was, and we tried to rebook, and they were fully booked for 3 months. And I was like, what? How is a podcast studio booked for free? What, you know, so I then Googled Marbella Podcast Studio, and it didn't exist. So I got on the phone to my mate, who does everything for me in Marbella, who knows everyone, been here 30 years, and I said, I need a podcast studio. So I come to view the office space the next week. When I got back, signed the lease, boom. And I just built a podcast studio for myself to create content. And then I had this idea of renting it out and kind of doing a Dubai thing. But life took over, and I started traveling all over the place and doing my other stuff. And it kind of lay dormant, and it was just a cool office for me to hang out in. And I lost my way a little bit, if you want to call it that. And then the place burnt down because downstairs below us, there was a fire. We'll talk about downstairs in a little bit as well. And that's when you were over here, I think. Yeah. And then Bradley messaged me like, hey, I want to do a podcast. And I said, well, we haven't got he can tell the rest. Then we kind of just met up because he wanted to do a podcast, and then we didn't have a studio, but I kind of had a studio, and yeah, it went from there.
So for me, when I came here, I'm a poker degenerate. I love playing poker, traveled to Vegas, played in the WSOP, the World Poker Tour. And when I was back in the UK in Leeds, I was wanting to find somewhere that's like this, where I could set up a hub, I could invite entrepreneurs, we could play poker, we could smoke a cigar, we could drink some whiskey, play poker, chat shit, and camera it up like we are doing now. I didn't feel comfortable doing that in Leeds. So when I came to Marbella, I Googled that. And that's when obviously this place came up, and I reached out to Luke. And when we first connected, it was a little bit like, what the fuck do you want? Not in so many words, but he was like, listen, let's meet up, let's have a coffee. We ended up going down to Clubhouse, and that was our first time meeting. And what was meant to be a 15-minute meeting, I think it turned into a 10-hour drinking session, 12, 15 pints of Guinness. We absolutely obliterated at the end of it. He won, which
playing darts.
I'm shit at darts, so that's something we've been working on getting better at. Not so much lately because we're too busy, but that was the kind of first encounter. And we're like, right, if we're going to do this, let's partner up. Rather than me creating another business a mile away and being in competition, let's link up, let's synergize. And then that's how it kind of came into fruition. We started the renovation. And now fast forward what seemed like an eternity. It's only been 12 months, I think, but we finally renovated the place. And we're cooking on gas now. So it's been a fun 12 months, let's put it that way.
I mean, for those of you that don't understand Spain, and Bradley didn't so much when we started.
No, I did not.
They say things take 3 months. Anything that takes 3 months takes a year.
Yeah.
Everything here is so slow. Every little thing that we need doing takes forever. And it's just been a bit of a nightmare. And now the summer's coming, and they work even less in the summer. So thank God that it's done. Yeah. And it's finished, and we've renovated. And we put a lot of time and energy and effort into this place, and money as well, obviously, but more like love and energy and thought. And we have a place we could be proud of now here at the Marbella Podcast Studio. And from that, we decided to launch, again, our experience about meeting each other and everything that happened. We kind of realised, as a lot of people do, Dubai is another great example of it. People like to talk. and they like to say they do things, and they like to pretend that there's something, or they do something, or whatever. But when it comes down to brass tacks, and the bill shows up, not everyone reaches for their wallet and wants to pay, you know, and not everyone is really actually doing what they say they're doing.
Yeah,
so we wanted to create a place where you could come meet other people that were legit and were doing what they're saying and not just lying, basically, and full of bullshit. So that's when we created Casa Creative, which is a content creators membership club alongside the studio.
Yeah.
So he said about his vision of having different entrepreneurs that can come together and do different events and spend time together, etc., etc., etc. We have developed that now and launched it. And we have the studio, which obviously, we have a podcast studio. We have 4 areas you can shoot in, 2 indoor areas, 2 external areas. And we're obviously using one of them out here right now. And then that's rentable. So people can come in here and they can use that space, and we can have people on holiday that have a podcast established, and they want to record while they're away, or there's certain guests here that they want to interview and they come to our place. A lot of people want to interview me. We get Rob Lipset's a real popular guest that comes in here and brings the Irish in, and stuff like that. So we built it out like that. But then the content creators side of it is more of a business side, business networking.
I think there's a lot of people that when I first came here, I'd never been to Marbella before, like properly. I'd been here for 2 days for a holiday. And I found that within a very short period of time, there's a lot of bullshit here. There's a lot of noise. People tell you that 1 minute they're in real estate, the next minute they're insurance, the next minute there's something else that's nothing related to any of that. And I found it such a transient place where people will tell you things. And like Luke said, the brass tacks of it, they don't back up what they're doing. And I find there's a lot of people who tell you things and they don't deliver. So creating the Casa Creative, if you will, that for me was a place to be able to bring everyone together who was like-minded, who I could trust. So let's say you're an accountant, you deal in tax, you deal in real estate, you deal in agency work, you're in whatever it is, PT, fitness. You can come here, become a member, and then if we get someone who needs that, we feel comfortable referring that member because we've spent time around them. You know, we have sip and smoke every Friday on the terrace, and for me it was building a brotherhood, a group of like-minded people. Yes, we have women involved, but, you know, on the Friday, getting everyone together and almost building like a hub of like powerhouses, if you will. That was my kind of vision, and we've created that now, and it's growing very, very nicely.
Yeah, growing rapidly, growing quick, and like you said, having people that you can trust and a circle of people that you believe in. And I think that's something that everyone needs. Marbella transient is a good word that Bradley said. A very transient place. A lot of people come here and then they can talk the talk for 3 months and disappear. But one of the things that we've invested time in and energy into is a physical space, because then, you know, you can't bullshit people if they can turn up to your office. And we talk about our office and we et cetera, so people know exactly where we are, and if they want to come talk to us, we're here. And that sets us apart. I mean, the world's changed in such a huge way over the last 10, 15 years. People making money online. I mean, we both make a lot of money online, and that is where the main money comes from. And everyone's moved away from physical business and having, like, you know, brick and mortar businesses or whatever you want to call it. Because to be honest, a brick and mortar business is a pain in the arse. It's much easier to just sell something online. It's much easier. So the ones that stick it out and do the hard work and create something real that they can be proud of, I think now it has a little bit more prestige. That's why we feel having Casa Creative and having the podcast studio and everything that we're doing, it means so much more. And it's great to make money. Listen, making a lot of money online and living a great life, etc., etc. But then you'll see, once you make a bit, you got to find people, and finding people is the hard bit. Once you leave school, making mates is so difficult. And it's like, how am I gonna? All I want to talk about is business. That's all I care about. I don't want to meet people talk about business. I don't drink anymore. I don't party. I'm not interested in any of that crap. I want to make deals. I want to do things. I want to change lives. So if that's what I want to do, you don't meet people at the regular places.
No.
You know, so that's why we try to create a place and a space and an experience where people like us that are trying to move forward and trying to do cool shit can come together and create something. And that's why it come about.
Because I feel like, especially now, for the last 14 years, all my business has been online. And I really liked it when we connected, because you were like having somewhere physical that you can invite someone to. It adds an element of, I don't know if prestige is the wrong word, but it allows them to see, these guys mean business. because we've got a 10-year lease. We're a physical location in the heart of Port Banús, which doesn't just cost a couple of quid. Like, it's a good chunk every single month. So to commit to that, to be invested into it, to pour back into the country that we live, you know, like Luke said, he's been here 10 years. I've only been here 2. We always say that you're not really living in Marbella unless you've been here 2 years. So I've got probably another 3 or 4 months. I'm getting there. But right now we're in that position where we're kind of growing out and slowly taking bit by bit, building the community, building the network, building trust, building relationship. And that is something that I found ridiculously hard when I came to Marbella, was building friendships. At the beginning, I came here in party mode. You know, I was going out partying, spending weekends on nights out. And, you know, I've not drank since November now, so we're coming on to 7 months, which for me is huge because I used to party 7-8 times a year in Ibiza. So, like, having that level there where Luke said we can focus on business, we can focus on growth, we can focus on what it is that we want to do, that is a huge part of why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing. So I think going into that other level is needed for sure.
Yeah, and listen, Marbella is an amazing place. So it's normal. People come here, they party, they have a good time, they enjoy it. Amazing restaurants, amazing entertainment, you know, all the rest of it. But they're the people that come here, they spend a few months and they disappear, and then they go to Dubai or they go to Bali or they go wherever, and they don't have there's no grounding in them. So, you know, it's easy to get caught up in that, but you don't actually get anything done.
No.
You just waste time, waste money, waste energy. And trust me, I have done it for many, 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 many years. So, that transition, I feel like people that are ready for that transition and they're doing something different and they really believe in themselves, that's kind of why we create Casa. But we've got a lot of projects going on. Obviously, the studio is one of the bigger ones, but I think the whole idea with this podcast, it's almost like a bat signal, like calling out to people in Marbella. We want to show off the great places in Marbella and talk to entrepreneurs in Marbella, and you know, we'll have guests on, won't just always be us, but we can always do one if not. And talk about the projects that we're doing, and you guys can follow along if you're interested to give you like an update of everything that's going on and how we're moving forward. And one of the, like, we're talking about how changing our scope of our lives from being Ibiza party boy and worldwide traveller, party guy, into being serious about business and having rooted locations. It's like how I found it, by saying no to all that bullshit, you open the door to so many other opportunities, and I don't know how to explain it, and I hate sounding like a hippie and talking about the universe, which is pretty much all I ever do. But I feel like when you say no to the wrong things, the right things just kind of come into your life. And the guy that we met, or I met originally and then introduced to Bradley, that now is bringing like Hollywood and the movie industry to Marbella, all happened because I said no to the bullshit and I said yes to business and to focus. And I met a guy called Joey Megahertz through my wife and her friend, randomly just showed up, sat down next to me, started drinking coffee, and we could just kind of, on a vibration level, kind of knew that we should be speaking to each other.
But both initially thought, why the fuck are we here?
Yeah, of course. No, we sat next to my wife and he sat next to his girlfriend, and we're sitting there thinking, fucking hell, I'm on like a play date. It was gay. But after a coffee and a chat, and I show him a video and we get talking, we're like, okay, no, we get on. So because of the studio, because of a physical space, because of making the right decisions, because of saying no to the bullshit, I now have, you know, a Hollywood producer and director and scriptwriter and filmmaker interested in me and interested in the business, because he wanted to make a movie in Marbella and he needed a place to edit that movie. You know, so when I brought him to the studio, he was like, oh wow, this place is perfect. Right in the center of town. I could do all the editing. I can come out, have a cigarette. I can go have a coffee. I can relax. I'm sitting here, palm trees in the background. Life is good. So he started investing time in us. And then I introduced him to Bradley, and we all just had great synergy and got on so well. Obviously his partner Ra as well. You might have seen, if you follow us, you would have seen us together on social media. I just been to Tenerife with them for like 3 or 4 days doing location scouting. And the idea of editing a film here turned into us becoming producers on the film and being a part of this whole new industry and this whole new movement, I'd like to call it, in Marbella. We put together a launch party.
Yeah.
We've been working, you know, crazy hard in the background to make this movie real. And we're days away. I mean, I can't make announcements now, but days away from big news with the film. which we'll probably talk about on the next podcast. But it's all coming together. And again, that relationship that's been built was all done by saying no to other shit, to saying no to the bullshit and saying yes to like doing the right thing. And I'm a guy, and Bradley would tell you for a fact, I'm a miserable cunt. Like, I don't talk to nobody. I'm very, very closed off. And for some reason, I spoke to Bradley and I invited him down the pub and we played darts and we had, I don't know why. I still don't know why.
Because that was one thing that one of his friends, Mike, said to us. He's like, fucking hell, you must be all right. He said, because Luke speaks to no one. I was like, yeah, we've become good friends.
Yeah. But I just, normally I'm like, no, because I feel like people want things all the time. But with Bradley, it didn't feel like that for some reason. And we just got on. And then it was the same with Joey. And then it was the same with Ra. And then again, I think my circle opened because my mind opened to the opportunities that were around and the differences that I could make and we could do. And like I said, now we're going to be Hollywood producers on a beautiful kill, which is a fantastic project that we're involved in and very, very exciting. So we're looking forward to it.
And I think also as well, like from my side, 18 months ago probably now, that I was in that party mode. I was in a phase where I was going out all the time. It's lonely as shit. Like, you're with people who don't give a shit about you if anything goes wrong. So, like, I was going out and everyone's matey, pally when you're on that night out, but then you'd never see that again. And I think what Luke said there about saying no to the wrong things, sometimes you don't know when to say no, but you've got that gut, that intuition, and you mentioned La La Land and stuff like that. That's the stuff that's changed my life. You know, being involved in Bob Proctor, Think and Grow Rich, the understanding of that stuff, of your subconscious mind. We're not sat here. Again, we had this discussion on Friday night with a billionaire.
Yeah.
We're our own creators. We're sat here right now because of choices that we've made. We're our own characters. Luke's a part of my world and I'm a part of his world just in this exact moment. So understanding that for me was where I was like, right, okay, everything that we're doing is opening the right doors. It's putting us on the right path. So yes, we've got the podcast studio. We've got, the Casa Creative. We've got the movie, which I love movies, but I never thought I'd be a producer on one. But because of the right circle, the right network, the right conversations and having good synergy, good energy, it opened all of that. And I'm sat there thinking, shit, like me and Luke look at each other sometimes like, how do we even get here? Like, what's going on? Like, he was a UFC fighter, God knows how long ago. Yeah. Now we're here writing, doing movies. We're doing all this planning stuff, traveling to Tenerife, looking at locations. And it's just, I think it's exciting when you start to look at that type of stuff. And what I saw Marbella as when I got out of the noise was a playground. Not for partying, not for going out and doing all the wrong shit, but it's a playground for an entrepreneur who's got drive, work ethic, and good kind of dedication, because you can take over in Marbella relatively easy by getting a few little mastermind groups together like we've got. You put them together, you start taking action, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. And, we've got a few other projects in place which might get spoke about on future podcasts. But I think there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up that we are ready to talk about, that we want to speak about, that we've got guests ready to speak about. But we just wanted to do these podcasts to kind of share with you guys the vision of what it is that we've got planned and kind of just to vent, because also for us, this is our calendar, right? we're literally just being like, right, got to get this off my brain. So this is almost like a behind the scenes of us two just catching up. He's been busy all morning. I've been busy all morning. So we've just spent 30 minutes, whatever it is, 25 minutes, going through and venting some stuff off of his head and then running it up from there. So I think it's exciting.
Yeah, and I think you spoke about the Bob Proctor stuff and like dinner we had, like I said, with the Money Man and everything else. It's interesting because I call it woo-woo shit, and I said about it like the universe and blah, 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 because I don't know how to say it. Listen, I'm a manly man, yeah? I'm a big, scary alpha male that used to kill people for a living in the UFC. But I don't like to talk about woo-woo and da-da-da, but that is what runs my life.
Yeah, so
that is, and the more people I meet that are successful, not yoga retreats and all that gay bullshit. I mean, like, the people that are really doing things and making things happen, they all kind of have the same belief system or different version of it, and it always comes down to those things. That comes down to internal monologue and self-belief. And understanding that life's a game and you got to play it to the best of your ability. I mean, I'm a complete nerd deep down. When I was a kid, I used to play RPGs. And,
Same.
Yeah. So if you don't know what an RPG is, a role-playing game. Like
we both play World of Warcraft.
Yeah. I was sick. I actually played Tibia before I played World of Warcraft, and Tibia is a 2D version of World of Warcraft, and I was sick. But I was obviously a mage.
Same here.
And, yeah, of course.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, the cool ones, sudden death runes. But yeah, so when you play a game like that, it's like you have to try and build the strongest, best character, and that character needs to get the best attributes. You need to find the best armor. You need to get, the best ride in World of Warcraft. It was different type of animals you could upgrade, get Panther or whatever. And GTA is obviously the more like real life version, or even Sims, if anyone used to play Sims back in the day. And this big discussion that we had, which was super interesting, and I started reading a book off the back of this, which is called Super Intelligence.
Yeah.
And it basically says that if you look at World of Warcraft and you look at AI and you look at everything that's going on in the world now, we are basically playing Sims or playing World of Warcraft as ourselves. We just don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Because the way the guy explained it, which I thought was super interesting, and to be honest, was like the last piece of the puzzle for me in my mind, was he was saying, games are not fun when you know it's a game. And games are not fun when you know you can die and respawn. Games are fun when you don't know whether it's a game, and you, like, if you went through all the layers, you don't know it's a game, and you don't know if you die, you respawn. So if artificial intelligence is getting to the level that it's at now, Google have just released this thing where you can type a fucking message and it makes a film for you. If artificial intelligence is getting to that level, why can't it get to the level where you get a chip, you put it in your brain, and you completely live a new life? I don't know if anyone's seen the Rick and Morty episode where they play Roy. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
And they
I love
play
Rick and Morty.
they play this game called Roy, and he sits this thing on and sits there, and he lives an entire life through a character called Roy.
Yeah.
And it's only 10 minutes in the real world, but in his world, it's 100 years.
Yeah.
And that is what I believe we're living in. On some pathway.
Because also in the Rick and Morty, again, we'll go down Rick and Morty nerdy shit here, but this is our brains. There's also an episode where he creates a life force, basically a full ecosystem inside a battery. And then they go inside this battery, and these guys don't know anything else about the exterior world. But then inside that battery, they're also replicating the same thing inside their battery to power their battery. So if we understand, and again, what he said on Friday night last week was amazing. If you knew that you could break the law, you could break the rules, and there was no consequences, everything would be easy, you get bored real quick. We're in an environment, in a world where there are things in place, there are rules in place, there are things in place, governments, all that other shit that keep us in a certain way. But if we understand that this is the most powerful thing that we've got, our thoughts and who we're surrounded by and energies and all that type of stuff, then it really is a game that you can get to whatever level you want. The affluent, the wealthy, the successful people out there, they're basically playing Rick and Morty on 1000x. And that's how I see it as well.
I wrote this in Telegram today. I'm going to read it because it's basically exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's called, if thoughts are things and words are spells, then everything you think and say dictates your reality. If your reality is dictated by your thoughts and words, what dictates your thoughts?
Yeah.
What you expose your mind to. The people you speak to every day. Really think about it, and the next time some loser tries to suck your energy by complaining about some pointless bullshit, tell them to fuck off. Cut them out of your life and never speak to them ever again. You do this ruthlessly for 6 weeks.
Yep.
Your thoughts will begin to change. Your words will begin to change. And then your life will begin to change. And that's basically the same thing, but in one message that I put through Telegram, is like, if you understand all this shit, and you might think we're mental, which is fine. And you might think that we're in cuckoo land, which is fine. But if you understand that we live in this world and it's all a game, and that the more positive you are, and the more positive your thoughts are, and the more positive you reinforce it, and the better people you spend time with, the more likely you are to upgrade your character to the best level possible. I want to be level 100, and I want to have everything. I want to have every single little, trinket I can have and I can wish for, and I can see that, and I believe it, and I say it out loud, then I'm reinforcing it every single day.
Yeah.
And if you're reinforcing it every single day and you believe in it, it will happen. It's guaranteed. And this is all that, again, Think and Grow Rich, The Secret, and da-da-da-da-da. But success leaves clues. Yeah. And when we're hanging out with billionaires and they're saying the same shit, and they're just like, oh, you're just a few years away. You just got to really shape it. And when this cunt's buying Ferraris, it's like you realise that it's real and you can bend reality. You might not be able to change reality, but you can bend it and you can make a difference. And it all starts here.
Yeah.
It all starts with how you speak to yourself. It all starts with who you're talking to and the environment you build. And that's why we created Casa Creative, because we are creating our own environment and we are deciding who we spend time with. And we are literally closing the door and saying, you want to become a member, you have to be X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And if you're not X, Y, and Z,
fuck off.
Fuck off, because I don't want to hang around with you because you're going to deplete my energy. And it's like trying to build this reality in this life. You can do it too. Yeah. Everyone can do it.
And what will happen as well along that way is you will get tested. And you'll be like, oh, why does this keep happening to? Why does this keep happening to? Because you're not learning. You keep getting slapped back in the face and sent back 10 steps because you're still being that version of you that isn't saying no, that isn't cutting people off. But then it'll give you the clue, the affirmation, the kind of realization that you are on the right path. Friday last week did that for me. Think and Grow Rich changed my life. Earl Nightingale, the book changed my life. Napoleon Hill. The guy who he was with owns the Rolls Royce of Earl Nightingale.
Yeah.
I'm sat there, I'm like, are you fucking mad? He's like, yeah, come for a drive in it if you want. I'm like, the book that changed my life, that Bob Proctor spent 51 years on before he died, that I got coached for 6 years before he passed away, he owns the car off. And I'm like, I'm listening. I'm ready.
Universe.
I'm there. Come on then, what's next? Let's go.
It's funny because Think and Grow Rich, I don't think I spoke about this before, but there's a video on YouTube you could probably find with me that's 1,000,000 years old. I think it was called Katana, was the guys that shot it. And it's when I was sleeping in my gym. I used to sleep on the floor, but I'd upgraded to a bed in reception, behind reception. So I had like a little bedroom behind reception. And I had a whiteboard and I used to write quotes on it every day. And I used to read them in the morning and affirmations and blah, blah, blah. And Think and Grow Rich was one of the books that I was reading when I was 18, 19. I was fighting. So I would take all the lessons from those books and I would convey it into like athleticism and fighting and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's all the same stuff. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad was the first one that I got that got me into that sort of self-help, they call it, kind of genre. But yeah, if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, then I don't even know what you're doing with your life, to be honest. And there's 1,000,000 podcasts, and podcasts are great. We own a podcast studio, so I'm never going to shit on podcasts. But if you're not reading books, or at least listening to audiobooks, the ones that everyone's recommending to you, like, again, what are you even doing with your life? You just spend an hour or 20 minutes a week just reading it, going through it. I listen to audiobooks every day when I drive here. Every day it takes me 30 minutes back and forth. Audiobook. Like, how else are you going to get that information? Again, your thoughts are what you're surrounding yourself with. Yeah. So I can decide on my 30-minute drive to listen to bullshit music, or I can listen to information that's going to change my life. I decide to listen to information that's going to change my life. Like, very, very simple. And now I'm on this super intelligence thing, which was recommended by this guy. Super deep, mental, crazy stuff. Yeah. But I kind of vibe with it at the moment.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing for a lot of people, is understanding that as a conscious thought, we have over 76,000 thoughts a day. So if you're consciously thinking negative things, that'll go into your subconscious and that'll become you. So like, that's all we're doing, is we're reprogramming, rewiring all that negative shit. We've all had past trauma. You know, we've all got family issues. We've all had stuff that we've grown up with that we didn't like, we didn't want, we wish we could change. But unless you address that and you spend the time to do it, you know, we don't just sit here and talk about like money and all that other stuff. Like, we talk about plans, business, growth, bettering ourselves, becoming the best version. We're both in a challenge at the moment where we're trying to get into the best physical shape. I'm down 8 kilos in however many weeks. He's doing very, very well. I don't know how many kilos you are down in the end.
I think 5.
5 kilo. But like, again, having them people around you, the big bicep, having those people around you who push you and make you want to become better, again, your environment. And I think now, more than ever, I've never felt so powerful and proud of where we are, because literally this for me is just like scratching the foundation of where we are. The renovation's done. We're starting downstairs soon. We've got, you know, a few other things that we're launching online together, businesses. But again, it all comes down to synergy. It all comes down to being around the right people, being pushed in the right direction. And I'm excited for us to do more of these, more conversations, because...
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, we own a podcast studio, we should do a podcast.
Yeah, we should.
So it totally makes sense, and it's not like either of us are shy or don't like talking. I love the sound of my own voice, as you can tell. One of the things that started us on the road of doing the weight loss challenge. Obviously, I used to be 8% body fat, fighting, elite level athlete, blah, 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 bullshit. Then I took 4 years off and got fat as fuck. And I was up to 120 kilos. Now I'm about 113, 112. I want to get down to 105, which I will by August, because I've said it now, so I have to. But we met a guy again through these circles, through these people, through everything that we're talking about. We met a guy, super interesting guy called David Mahoney. David Mahoney, you should look him up. I think he's banned from every single
every platform
you could find. So if you've got Rumble, you could probably find him on there. But he's super into supplementation, but for like, you know, high-end illnesses and everything else. So he goes deep on that.
Down to more of a cellular level rather than just what comes out.
Yeah, he's super smart.
Yeah.
And we were talking to him about parasites, and we both decided to do a parasite cleanse. And since we started the parasite cleanse, we decided to start taking our health to another level.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how it spurred it on. But that parasite cleanse we did was, for me, was a real crazy experience. And I'm 37 years old, and I eat a lot of meat because I think meat is the king when it comes to food. And I've struggled with being like, feeling uncomfortable. I don't know how to explain it, but just not feeling great for so long. I think because I was such a pro-level athlete, and then I just went to living a normal life, being a bit more sedentary, but then the shit I was eating and boozing and blah, blah, blah. So after I did this parasite cleanse, I felt phenomenal. And I'm now at a point, that was about 3 months ago, something like that. 3 months of looking after myself, 3 months of putting the right things in my body, 3 months of deciding again to think properly and act properly. And I feel like 10 years younger. I live a fucking hectic life. I've got a family, I've got kids, I've got businesses, I've got travel, I've got blah, 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 whatever. And I'm up and I am on the go, constant. And at the parasite cleanse and a couple of the sups that I take, they keep me, I feel fantastic.
I think it's the first time I've not felt bloated.
That's what I was trying to explain. Yeah. I didn't want to say that I'm bloated because I'm
bloated.
Like a woman.
Like,
so I didn't want to say
like wearing tops that you feel like you're not. I'm not fat. I ain't got a gut. I ain't got a beer belly. But literally within like 2 or 3 days, I was like, oh, I'm not bloated. I can wear this top. And then having that feeling going, I ran out of the tablets for like a week, and we both sat down the other day while we were with him. We were like, we're fucking bloated again, straight away. Like, so we're back on that.
Monday, we're getting a top up.
So I think, making money is great. Living a great lifestyle is good, but I think keeping grounded, keeping connected to the stuff that matters is obviously your health. Good relationships, good people around you. Like, I'm getting in the sea a little bit more. I'm starting to do my sea dips again. Getting back healthy. We're doing his morning run clubs from here on a Monday morning. Every morning, 8:30 a.m. on a Monday is what we're going to be doing. And just really, really committing, to having, again, another community where we can hold each other accountable. I missed Monday. I'm going to be honest. I was at the gym and they were like, are you coming? I was like, fuck, forgot. And every day is a Saturday for me, so.
That's what happens when you live the good life. But I think, again, we're talking about downstairs, creating our reality and creating our environment and creating the people we're talking to and we're hanging around with. And it's like, what we spend a lot of time doing is going to meetings and talking to people about business and blah, blah, blah. And what do you do that over? You do that over a coffee. So we're like, if we're going to have to drink coffee every day and have meetings and talk to people, we're going to do it here on the terrace.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we have the terrace. And when we have a meeting, we bring people to our building and our place and our environment that we've created. Now we decided to take it a step further, and downstairs we're talking about health and getting the right vibe and the right people around us. We're going to start like a healthy cafe downstairs. So we're going to start something called Casa Blend, which is going to have matcha, coffee, protein shakes, all that sort of good stuff, acai and smoothies and da-da-da-da-da. But this is all just another building block for us then to create our own environment and create our own reality. And every single day we're going to have coffee in our coffee shop the way we like it. I'm going to have Shilajit coffee. I'm not going to have
the coconut.
No. What's that gay shit the women use?
Matcha?
No, matcha's super gay, but no.
I was thinking like Ganadert.
Collagen. I'm not doing collagen, but I'll do the Shilajit coffee, and we're going to offer like things like that, supplementated coffee and the stuff that we want and we like, that we understand makes us feel better. So again, it's energy, it's time, it's money, it's an expense, it's an investment. But all it does is create our environment and make us every day be a part of something and be with people and be in our own energy.
Because there's nothing worse.
Like it leads to more.
There's nothing worse when you go to that restaurant, that cafe, service is shit, coffee's shit, but it's overpriced. We've all seen that around Marbella where we all go, yeah, welcome to Marbella. And we don't want to be that. We want to have amazing service, great prices, and a good environment where people want to be there. So again, it's another layer, another extension of us that we want to create here in Marbella. It's going to be below us. That's why we've got Casa Creative, the House of Creatives. So it's going to be called Casa Blend. So like, again, everything is part of what it is that we want to do. Step by step, step by step. You can check that out on Instagram. Casa Blend, Marbella. Drop it a follow. I believe the Instagram's up, right?
It's going.
The Instagram is up. You can drop that a follow.
It's coming soon.
Coming soon.
We're coming soon.
Yeah, don't start coming to the door waiting for Marchant and acai yet. It's not open.
Not yet. But yeah, again, so it's like finding the right people. And we had a great meeting yesterday about sourcing the coffee and how we're going to do our own coffee and our own blends and our own bags and da 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 da. And again, surrounding ourselves with those sort of people. This guy's expert, proper anal about absolutely every little thing, which is the guy that you want, right? He lives around the corner. So he's a guy now that I could speak to about all of these things. And it was a super in-depth, interesting meeting. I learnt loads that I did not know about how to roast coffee and the rotations and where the beans come from and the flavors.
The storage, temperatures.
Temperature, everything goes on forever.
Cooking, everything.
But that's, again, information. So it was another good day that is a building block, like small building blocks in the right direction. And I feel like once we have downstairs and we've got this place and we've got making a film and we've got our online businesses and we've got whatever, it's just an endless flow. Because something I've learned through my circles and the people I speak to is like, life is like a seesaw. Obviously you try and build this, we're trying to build fortresses.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to build a mental fortress and a physical fortress where every single day my life's fantastic and I'm always positive and everything's zen and everything's great. But reality doesn't like that and it checks you. I think is what Bradley said. You get checked and you get lessons and you get taught. And so I'm going to use a fine analogy because that's all I ever can think of. But we call it your shape. So when you're fighting, you're in your shape, which is your defense, right? And you win. People think you win fights with punches and kicks. You win fight with energy. Again, it's the energy. When if you've ever stepped into a cage against another man, you feel and you sense his energy. If he's weak, you destroy him. Otherwise, it's like a battle. If anyone's watched Dragon Ball Z, again, I'm a nerd. When they do their thing, it's like an energy battle, and it goes like this back and forth. That is fighting. So you sense that energy when you're in there, and this energy that you can sense from that, it's like it creates tasks for you to get over and things for you to do in real life, how you can beat those things. It's very, very different to what people think it is. People think fighting's all about punching and kicking, but fighting is about sensing energy and understanding when you can go and when you can't go, because you can't go up full out and blast the guy 100% because you get exhausted. And when you go out 100% and you give everything to it, you exhaust yourself and you die, and then the guy takes over. You have to be able to feel that energy. And I completely forgotten what my point is, so we're going to move on. But for me, that's where it comes to fighting. It feels like
creating a fortress, creating energy.
Creating a fortress, creating energy. Thank you, mate. But when you're fighting, you're trying to create your shape. So when you have your shape and you can sense the energy, that's what I was getting. So you have your shape, and you have this. All you're trying to do when you fight is you're trying to get your opponent out of his shape, out of his comfort zone, out of his breathing patterns, out of his where he feels strongest, out of his fortress where he feels comfortable. We're building those mental fortresses like we spoke about earlier, but we're building them physically with our businesses. So we come to our business, we walk in, we're the boss. And when you walk in and you're the boss and you're the owner, you have a different energy.
Yeah.
You know, and other people can sense that. So I'm trying to put myself in so many situations where I'm the boss, I'm in charge, I'm in control. And it's stupid little things. My daughter the other day asked me, she goes, "Oh, Daddy, at work, who tells you what to do?" Because I obviously tell my daughter what to do constantly. I'm like, "No one, darling, I'm the boss." She goes, "Oh, so you're the boss?" I was like, "Yes." And again, I'm reaffirming the fact that I get to decide how my life goes. I don't have someone above me saying, "Do this." I mean, Bradley does every now and then we have this energy battle. No. But yeah, so it's like you're trying to stay in your shape. So in life, if you can stay in your rhythm and your shape and your energy and your fortress, life is so much easier. Life is only hard when you get taken out of that fortress and you get put in uncomfortable places. And that is up to you.
Yeah.
Up to you how you create that, or see that, or sense that, or decide, what your fortress is. And for some people, going to work and being on a desk and not having to deal with problems is where they go into their little fortress. Their life's shit. Yeah. It's shit and they're controlled, but that's how they feel comfortable. And that's why I always talk about being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's like my whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what we're trying to do, is stay in our fortress and build our fortress here. Yeah. The Casa Creative is the house of creative. We've got the Casa Blend downstairs. It will keep developing.
Because if we just kept it how it was, we've both got online businesses that do well. We didn't need the podcast studio, but it was another uncomfortable moment to get comfortable again. Then we put the membership club in there. Again, uncomfortable to become comfortable. Now we're everything's flowing, business is good. I know what we'll do. We'll set up a cafe. Neither of us have got a fucking clue about that.
No.
Yes, I've done hospitality 15 years ago, but I ain't got a clue how to run it. So we're going to bring someone in who knows the shit. And again, we're the bosses. The same with every single business that we do. We find mastermind groups of people who know their stuff, and then we're the face, we're the brand, we're the owners, we're the boss. And again, when I go to Breathe and other places and the service is shit, when certain people aren't working, my energy is different.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to come somewhere where I know that we've trained it, that the service is on point, where the deliverables are on point, and I feel good all day, every day. I wake up, I'm great. I go in the sea, I walk my 2 little Pomeranians, I spend time with my girlfriend, I drive my beautiful car to my business to create content in my place of work, to drink coffee in our place of work. Literally, it's just tick points. And then all the little bullshit things that come up in between that, which is business, is how I handle that to then get the uncomfortable parts to become comfortable. And then it's just levels that go to it. So
yeah, I mean, it's going in the right direction. Life always gives you challenges, but it's going in the right direction. I feel for you guys that watching this, I mean, if you're interested in business, and I'm sure you are, there are definitely a load of good lessons there. But this is just the start for us with this podcast, to try and establish us and understand who you're speaking to and what you can learn and everything else. And I feel like you should be trying to do the same in your lives. You should be trying to find a fortress, or find a place that you can call yours, and understand your energy.
Yep.
So you need to, again, as woo-woo as it sounds, if you can, first of all, you got to find out who you are. That's always what I always say. The biggest thing is finding out who you are. How do you find out who you are? You challenge yourself. So as long as you're challenging yourself, life is good. And Brad said something about when we know nothing about coffee, nothing about cafes. Like I said, we had a great meeting yesterday. I know nothing. We had a chat here with one of the editors, because he's a young lad that started with us, who's obviously a little bit uncomfortable and not the most confident guy in the world. And we were trying to encourage him to become more confident, become more outspoken. And we were saying, listen, bro, we ain't got a clue what we're doing.
Yeah.
You just have to believe in yourself. We ain't got a clue about how to open a cafe, but we're doing it because it's a challenge, and we will learn how to do it. So as long as you have that self-belief, that foundation, you can do anything. As long as you believe that you'll be able to work it out, you can do anything. That's where I think a lot of the younger generation, I don't know how old this kid is, but he's a young kid, young editor, is he needs to believe in himself first. And how do you believe in yourself? Is you just build brick by brick and do little things and accomplish little things.
Make mistakes
and do things, and make mistakes. Make sure you know you made a mistake, and then rectify that mistake and accomplish that thing and tick that box. And the more times you tick a box, the more accomplishments you make, the more you believe in yourself. It literally is that simple. And it comes from competence. Once you understand something deeply and you can explain it deeply, then you have confidence in that thing. But to start with, you don't know shit. No one knows nothing. We know nothing about a cafe, but we'll work it out. And it's the same with fighting, the same with a podcast studio. Thank God for Adam, who helped me set it up. Again, we found a guy who is extremely competent in that area. We learned off of him. We set something up, and we built. Going to be the same with the cafe. Going to be the same with the movie. Joey's super competent in film. We'll work with him and learn, and just keep building out. But we don't know nothing about these things.
Because it's weird what you just said there. I did a coaching thing on this last week.
Yeah.
There's the 4 stages of learning. There's unconscious incompetent, which is you don't know what you don't know. Then it goes into conscious incompetence, is you know you don't know. then it's consciously competent. You know what you need to be doing. And then you've got unconsciously competent, which is you're going to do whatever it takes anyway. So like eventually you all want to get to that fourth level where it becomes like breathing, it becomes like talking, it becomes like walking. Everything becomes fluid. And most people don't master the steps to go through that to eventually get to that point. Like you said, we don't have a clue about most things that we're doing day to day in our life. Like we don't. But from the external, we're like a duck just gliding along the water. But what they don't see is that fucking pedal underneath where we're like doing 12, 14, 16, 18 hour days. They just see the exterior. And I think social media, Instagram teaches us to portray that. And most people do, but they're not doing the inner work. They're not doing the stuff behind. They're not doing the growth. They're not doing the learning. And I think as that grows, obviously you guys watching this, you either will or you won't. You'll either get Think and Grow Rich or you won't. You'll either get the book that Luke mentioned or you won't. But again, if you do and you apply it, you start to see growth, changes, but also you start to get uncomfortable. And that's for me is when I start to feel that uncomfortableness, where I start to feel a bit of resistance. I start to feel the old version of Bradley creeping in. And I'm like, right, this is where my life's about to 10x because I need to put myself into that. Whereas most people would like go into shitting themselves mode and be like, oh, I can't do it. You need to kind of just push and be onto the next, if you will. So
yeah, but he said we call it the mastery loop.
Yeah.
So he said about the 4 stages of competence or whatever you called it. I don't know. But it's like the unconscious incompetence is like you said, you don't know nothing.
Yeah.
You don't even know what I'm doing. Like what? That's most people in most areas and most things. Every area. So everyone starts at that place.
Yeah.
Everyone starts in the same, and then you get the unconscious competence. But then you have to go through the mastery loop again and you have to add another layer of it. And I call it adding layers of pressure. So when you learn something and you get okay at it, you then have to go through the mastery loop again to get better at it and da-da-da-da-da-da. And again, I talk about fighting. It's like when you learn to fight, you first have to learn footwork and punching. And then you have to learn how to hit something. Then you have to learn how to hit something hard. Then you have to learn how to hit something fast. Then you have to learn how to hit something when something's trying to hit you. Then you have to learn about sparring. Then I make you spar a longer amount of time, and they're the layers, right? More pressure, more pressure, more pressure, more pressure. If you're going into a fight, you're going to have to spar in something called a shark tank, which is where you have a different person every minute for 5 minutes, then you get a minute's rest, you do another 5, then another minute's rest, and it's unfair, and you feel like this is fucking bullshit. Why am I doing this? But then when you have to fight one guy, you are unconsciously the most competent you've ever been, because you've had to fight 5 before that. Yep. So you've gone through that mastery loop over and over and over and over and over and over again. And again, it's going into the uncomfortable parts of it. I feel like this turned into a big motivational speech.
Yeah, fuck it, why not? But listen,
what's it supposed to be?
I think the journey of this is good because 2 years ago we didn't know each other. 2 years ago we didn't know each other. Like I didn't know Luke. I think that's why we got on so well at the beginning. I wasn't the guy who came up to him and was like, mate, can I get a selfie, please? Fuck off, because that's how it goes, right? No one wants to go up to someone who they've seen on Instagram that's been on TV, that's what are they classing as now? Not even influencer, but like a celebrity, if you will. Like no one wants to go up and be that person who takes a selfie with someone. Get candid photos, right? Get your mate to go over there and take it. So at least it looks like you've had a conversation, you know? And I think that's where this is great for us to showcase this, because we literally 2 years ago, we didn't know each other. And in less than, I reckon it's less than probably 12 to 18 months, we've built a mini empire, I would say, in the heart of Marbella. And I think it's exciting for us to do this more often, to showcase the journey. We're going to get Joey on, we're going to get Rara on as a 4. We'll have a conversation about the movie, how that all came about, what actually happened, the steps that's probably needed to make a movie. And we'll share with you more about downstairs, the cigar club that we've got, because we've not even got touched on that yet, which is, again, going to be an insane business in its own. But yeah, I think this is going to be a very, very exciting, I don't want to say a time period, because it's just
forever, mate. Forever. But yeah, I think what I'd like to do with the podcast is obviously update you on our lives and then talk about Marbella. You know, that Marbella is a great place, and get different people on from Marbella, not just the people in our lives, but different members of Casa Creative, different people, whoever you want. So, like in the comments, you can write about people that you maybe know in Marbella that you'd want us to talk to or interview or have involved, or you know, whatever you'd like to hear about and talk about. Me and Bradley are very widely versed in a lot of things, because we come from very different backgrounds. And I feel like we've kind of found each other at the perfect point because we're both exponentially evolving into different people. But we have our backgrounds, we have our personalities, we have our circles. We've come together in a point where we're both doing very, very well. We need each other because we can't do so much shit on our own.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is like everyone's trying to do it on their own. And it's just not possible. It's not possible. You need to be open to building with someone else or with people or with your friends, but you need to find the right people. And I think we did that very, very luckily. But I don't believe in luck. And again, I believe in by saying no to all the bad things, we kind of found each other at the right point. And we're both at the right point where we want to be dedicated, when we don't want to go out and party, where we don't want to do those things, and then when money starts coming in, it can change people, but not when you've already been through that phase of your life.
Fact.
So it's like, when the money starts coming, we're just going to try and double it and double it and double it and double it.
Reinvest it.
And make more things and become bigger. So I feel like we're in a great place, and you guys can come along on the journey. Hopefully you can learn something. Like I said, if you are like, we could talk all day about anything. So if you have something you want to talk about or you want to know about or questions, then you can just put them in the comments.
Yeah.
Because we can be, with the idea of this, like I said, turn into a bit of a sermon, but I wanted it to just be like a chilled out, relaxed vibe where we just chat and like you said, have a meeting and work out what the fuck we got going on, because there's so many things and it's good to have a reverb.
Yeah.
And again, your internal dialogue is also dictated by your external dialogue. So when we're talking to you, we're actually just talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
And reminding ourselves how important it is to have good internal dialogue, good people around you. Like one of the problems I've spoken about it quite a lot, is when I was doing sick in the UFC and my life was good and I was fighting and everything was great. I was living in California, living on a yacht, driving a G-Wagon, blah, 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 whatever. I never stopped to say like, nice one, bro, because it felt like I was stepping backwards.
Yeah.
And it's good because Bradley will say to me like, that was sick, bro, well done. And I'll say like, when he got the Ferrari, I was like, well done, mate, congrats. Like, you have other people that you respect give you that pat on the back rather than you having to do it to yourself. That's another thing about like having good partnership and good people around you, is they will then highlight to you like, you're doing sick, bro. Your life's great. I have to say to Bradley all the time, relax, mate. Your life's unbelievable. Your life is unbelievable. So don't get stressed about some stupid little thing. And he's like, yeah, thanks, mate. I know, but da 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 da.
The best thing was, I think it was the first run club. I was fuming. I was like, you fucking picked this 8:30 time and no one else is turning up. It's fucking me. I've got so much shit going on. I got there, I was pissed off. I went on the run. There was me and Jeremy. It were a great chat. We ran for like 45, 50 minutes. And he'd obviously not replied to the first voice note that I sent. I think there was 3 or 4. And then I literally voice noted him when I got in the car. I was like, mate, I was fucking sick, actually. I really enjoyed that. And he went, I was waiting for that.
So
again, a little correct. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I definitely should have been there, but I ain't got a car at the moment, so we'll get there. But yeah, I think there's not much. What else we got going on?
I think for this, maybe nothing. What we've done, an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes, maybe a little bit less. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like nice intro. You get to know, like I said, we didn't even really introduce ourselves, but hopefully the people that are watching it know us anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to be a bit more active on we've got a team now, a bit more active on socials, on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
This will be spread across all of it. We're going to have the Marbella podcast itself. There'll be a YouTube for that. We'll put it on Bradley's, we'll put it on mine, we'll cut it up. So, like I said, if there's things that you want to know about, just tell us in the comments. Let us know what you think of our stupid, crazy lives, what you think about Marbella. A lot of people hate Marbella and said, well, we should go to somewhere else, but we like it, so I guess that'll do.
That'll do. That's all we need.
And yeah, we'll move on. We've got a few other things going on, but we'll talk about them maybe on the next one. Been a bit of a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate everyone watching and hope you learned something or you enjoyed it. If you think we're dickheads, that's good too. Let us know. And yeah, sweet. Bradley can say so.
Yeah, drop a like, subscribe, whatever you need to do. Drop a little comment.
Is that
what we're doing? Is that gay? I don't know. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, and like I said, if you're interested in making content in Marbella, you know where we're at.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Instagram. I think Instagram's best.
Instagram, yeah.
I do Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I don't know.
We're on all social media platforms now. We've got a team because it's less stress.
100%. But no, really, Instagram's the one. I'm at Luke Barnett, and I am Bradley.
I am Bradley Marchant, yeah.
Marchant with an A, right?
Marchant with an A, Marchant. Yeah.
And then you've got at Marbella Podcast is the name of the studio. You've got at Casa Cigar Club. You've got a million different ones.
Yeah.
But just if you want, we'll put them all below in the description.
Yeah.
Or our team will. Definitely won't be me.
I mean,
so
I don't have the logins.
but yeah, follow along and hopefully you enjoy it, guys. Take it easy.
See you soon, guys.